This is Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom, words on leadership, goal setting, productivity, and a whole lot more. I trust today this will be like a vitamin or a supplement for your mind and heart. And wherever you receive podcasts from, if you could please subscribe to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom, if you'd leave a rating and then a brief written review, it will enable other excellent people like you to be able to locate this podcast. I'm also looking for the next level of leader, someone who would like for me to come alongside and help coach you a little bit. If you want to see what the possibilities are, go to drronblake.com/call, drronblake/call. You'll get on my calendar and I'll give you a call and we'll see what the possibilities are. Today we're going to talk about being a prepared leader. Now, all of our lives we have been preparing. Sometimes it's been formal preparation like education. But the school of experience is also a place where you are prepared. Every conversation in some sense is preparatory. And so many folks, including I am sure some of you listening today, will feel that you were thrust into a leadership position before you were prepared, before you were ready, and you just feel a tad bit overwhelmed with it. This could be whether it's vocationally, relationally, it goes all areas regardless of who you are. And so how do you prepare to be a leader? I want to just highlight 9 items here as we look at what goes into preparing a leader. Well, number 1, I've already alluded to it, and that would be your training. Now, don't feel intimidated if you are in a leadership capacity and you've never had any formal training. Preparation comes in all sizes and shapes and certainly all formats. Whether it's in higher education, whether it is learning from others, whether it is just your very varied, widely varied life experience. But proper preparation prevents poor performance. There are a lot of things you will discover when you become a leader that you have experienced that you haven't even really reflected on or thought about. You thought it was just the stuff of life, but providentially, you have been placed in positions where you have been trained to be the woman or the man that you are now. And all of that training, all of that preparation goes in to help you be your very best. Now I'm going to talk a little later that some of the training that you've received may be you learned from observing your family, a coworker, a boss, somewhere along the line. You learned because of what they were doing some things not to do. Well, this is why you have to reflect upon it, because oftentimes I heard many people come to my office and talk to me and tell me they were not going to be like their dad, their mom. And then you fast forward to where they are tonight, and they are just like their parents. We have our parents' DNA in us, and they were our role models. So once in a while you have to reflect on your training, because there are some things and ways in which you were trained that you don't want to continue that. But don't underestimate the absolute essential need for training, be it formal or informal, and we'll talk about some of those ways in a moment. The second thing that I believe can help you to be a better leader and to be prepared to lead is to make sure you have a mentor. Now, I just recorded a podcast on the power of mentoring and both being a mentor and being a mentee. And just find someone. If you don't have anyone right now, find someone you know who would be willing to share some time, some expertise, someone who's willing to pour into your life. Frankly, as I sit here today, I think of so many folks who selflessly poured themselves into me. They took time for me when I couldn't offer them very much. They took time because evidently they either saw something in me or they were the incredible type of people who love investing in others. And so a part of your preparation is there are folks who've invested in you. Honor them, thank them. Also, you might want to give them a phone call or get together as best you can and ask them some questions and allow them to continue to mentor you, because mentoring is important. And also, as a leader, I have mentioned before that one of the great ways for me to learn is when I'm mentoring someone who is younger than I am, has a different worldview, has a different set of life experiences. Those things will help you in your area of preparation. The third thing that is very much a part of the preparation of a leader, and that is you must hold yourself accountable. Do not let yourself slack or slide. The best preparation for tomorrow is doing your best today. Problems solved and worked on today will not have to be worked on and solved, hopefully, into the future. Don't put off things that you know you need to do. Hold yourself accountable. Don't leave things for some future person to have to come along and clean up and put a period at the end of the sentence. Hold yourself accountable. You are the leader. Get a hold of whatever it is you need to do and hold yourself accountable. That's one of the great things why we set goals. That's also one of the reasons that we work on productivity. It's not that they are an end in themselves, but they are tools that hold us accountable, and the process helps us so immensely. So if you want to be prepared, hold yourself accountable. Are you learning? Are you growing? Are you stretching? And then number 4, pay attention. You have to pay attention. You can't just let life hit you. Now, there are things, 2020, the year that this has been recorded, would be one of those where just weeks, months, a year ago, none of us could see what all was going to happen and what we were going to be a part of in this year. But you still have to pay attention. If you're in a business and the revenue is going down, maybe you can weather that for a week, a month, maybe even a quarter or two. But if this is becoming a pattern, it ought to start sounding alarm bells in your mind. And leader, you don't have the luxury of ignoring the sirens around you. You are paid to pay attention. You see, you have to prepare your umbrella before it rains. I was in a meeting the other day in a small town that is a part of my jurisdiction, and when the meeting was over, I was ready to go to my car, and it was raining and blowing as hard as it could. Now, I had a beautiful umbrella, but it was in the car. And so you have to pay attention to weather reports, and you and I as leaders have to pay attention. What's happening? Are we aware of what's happening? I am amazed how many people walk through life with blinders on and seem to be totally unaware of anything happening in their family, hardly in their own life, or in the life of organizations or places where they work. Leader, you can't afford that luxury. You have to pay attention, and that is one of the best ways to prepare. I think the 5th thing that I would say that helps a leader to be prepared is to develop listening skills. I was a little late to the dance when it comes to this. I was born more naturally a talker than a listener. But in these later years, I am trying to get better, and I am trying to hone my listening skills. And here's the incredible truth that I have learned. I learn so much more. I learn significantly more by listening to others. Not just listening, but listening to understand, not listening to think, what great smart thing can I formulate while I'm listening to them so when they take a breath I can contribute. But listening as to understand, listening as to learn, listening as to develop empathy for the person talking, listening as understanding everything from their perspective. The 6th thing that I would tell you that will prepare you for leadership is failure will be your teacher. Now, you are not a failure. Failure is an event. I don't care how good you are, what schools you went to, what fabulous mentors you've had, what great accountability you hold yourself to, how well you're paying attention, and how great of listening skills you have. Everything does not go off as planned. There will be hiccups, there will be setbacks, There will be even times, it seems, when you're going through it, of an utterly terrible disaster. But if you'll hang on, failure can be your greatest teacher. I've often said I've learned a lot of things from successful things that I've been a part of, but the greatest lessons I learned was in the times when things didn't work out. You see, adversity is preparation for greatness, said Andy Andrews. If you don't have any adversity, you'll never learn resilience, you'll never learn stick-to-itiveness, you'll never develop any grit. When you have heartache and heartbreak and disappointment and failure, they can be your teacher. Don't let them be your undertaker. Let it be your teacher. The seventh area in which you can be prepared and need to be prepared to be a leader, the best leader you can be, is learn from those who've gone before. One of the most interesting phenomena I see today is when a new leader comes someplace, just listen to what he or she says. Oftentimes, it sounds like this: "You are so fortunate that I showed up when I did, because you were about to go down the tubes. This organization was about to go out of business. Anyone who's ever led here has led you poorly, and now, thank God, I have arrived, and I am here to help you." It almost makes me nauseous when I hear that. For I do not care where you go. All of us are standing on the shoulders of those who have gone before us. The organization would not still be open if some women and men down through the years and decades didn't pay the price. Don't be so haughty as to think you know everything and you are the know-all, be-all, end-all of your organization. Get close to the people who've gone before. Now, I understand some of you have come to your positions in very negative times in which the former leader did not feel good about themselves nor the organization about them. And I understand that. But it's all right to reach out to those who were ahead of you and to say, thank you for your service. Thank you for what you've done. I want you to know I'm for you and I appreciate what you have done. And when I say learn from them, I don't mean in such a capacity that you can gossip about what all's wrong with the organization or the poor people you have. I'm talking about get their perspective. Here's what I'm discovering in this stage of my leadership is I need more than my perspective for everything that I face. I need the input and the perspective of those who have gone before me. Don't be egotistical and think you are it and everyone else who came before you. That is just a not very attractive attribute, frankly. The eighth thing I would say that needs to go into making you a prepared leader is continue learning. I started with training, and if you're going to work very long, your training can very quickly become somewhat obsolete. So you need to continue learning. You need to make sure you're listening to the voices that can help you, that you're availing yourself of continuing education, that you go to seminars, that you're reading the right things, that you're talking and you're traveling in the circles where you can learn. Learning is really as close to a full-time job as there is, and a leader cannot ever say, well, I know it all. Because when you find a leader that knows it all, you'll find the leader that I was describing in the subject before. They don't have to learn from anybody that came before because they're smarter than everybody and they know more than everybody. And you ought to be thankful we're here or it would have been a disaster. Never get to the point that you shut down and say, I know all there is to know about my discipline, my field of endeavor. I think another thing that can really help you be a prepared leader is find an organization and volunteer for. If you're not in church work, volunteer at your church or some not-for-profit. I mean, if I start naming them, I'm going to leave very, very good ones off. Salvation Army, the Red Cross, the Kiwanis, on it goes. There are many, many, many. And your community would even have some unique ones as well. What I've discovered at times is when I've volunteered in these other organizations, it helped to broaden my network, and I don't mean that in a manipulative way, but I mean it in that I found some interesting people I didn't know before, and they know things that I don't know, and I can pick their brains. I also see ways that other organizations do it and operate and can pick up some lessons. Also, when you're the leader, once in a while it is great to volunteer in something where you're just an equal among many and your voice isn't going to carry any more weight. You are just there. I think it models servant leadership when you volunteer. I think it makes you feel better about life yourself, and it's what we should do because all of us have received so much, and a prepared leader is a woman or a man who is ready to give back and to bless everyone they come in contact with. You have been listening to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom, words on leadership, goal setting, productivity, and a whole lot more. I trust today this has been like a vitamin or supplement for your heart and mind. And wherever you receive podcasts, please subscribe to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom. Leave a rating and a brief written review. I am looking for that next level leader that I can come alongside and encourage and help and coach. And if you want to see what the possibilities are of us working together, go to drronblake.com/call, drronblake/call. You'll get on my calendar and I'll give you a call. Remember, my leadership friend, you are doing better than you think you are. You really, truly are. And until next time, this is Dr. Ron saying have a great and blessed day.